In this week's Parashat Miketz, Yosef starts out in jail, rock bottom, and he works himself up to second in command, viceroy of all of Egypt, the second most powerful person in the world. So from rock bottom to the highs. Now contrast this with last week's Parashat, where he started off on a high level, being the beloved of his father, having everything that he wants, and he ends up in being sold to Egypt and in jail. So he goes from the highs of highs to the lowest of the low in last week's parsha. Whereas in this week's parsha, he starts from the lowest of the lows in jail and he attains greatness. So why is that? So I saw in the name of Rav Isaac Bernstein, he says a wonderful thing. It says in last week's parsha, Yosef wanted his brothers to hear his dream, listen to his dream. It was all about Yosef. It was all about himself. He was selfish. He was self-centered. So that contributed to his demise. That contributed from him going from the top, the position that he had, to the lowest of the positions that he had. Whereas in this week's parasha, he's brought next to Pharaoh, and we see that he's willing to listen to Pharaoh's dreams, right? He's not anymore concerned about his own self and selfishness. He's not selfish. He's willing to give a listening ear. He's ready to listen to others. That caused him to become great. That raised him up from the lowest of the lows to the highest of the highs. If we want to be successful in our relationships, we need to see others' perspective. We need to not be so selfish and egocentric, but see the other person's side. A lot of times in a marriage, we behave and act and experience and interact in different ways. And a barometer to measure how successful a marriage is to see, based on those experiences and interactions, how much of those interactions is based on my wants and desires, on my selfishness, am I being self-absorbed with myself and wanting to advance an agenda? And how much of these interactions are based on my understanding my wife's side, understanding her needs and her desires, of me not being so selfish, of willing to see what she needs in a marriage. So when I see that most of our interactions and most of the actions and the rules and regulations of the marriage is based on my perspective and based on my egocentric and selfish ways, then I know that's not a good relationship. But when I see that these interactions, these rules and regulations, the way I'm conducting myself in my marriage, I see the other partner's needs and desires, and I comply and conform to the best of my ability, then that is the barometer. That is the way that I know that this marriage is a successful marriage and it could reach great heights. Shabbat Shalom.